All right, and according to YouTube, I'm live. So I guess we can get this party started. 7:01, few seconds behind, but happy Thursday. We'll do this on a Thursday night tonight instead of a Wednesday night. Yesterday my schedule didn't quite allow for it, and today I had to move some things around, but we made it fit. So here we are, and hopefully get people signed in and hopped on board here. Couple things I want to talk about tonight because today was the official launch day. Sorry, losing my voice over here. Of the OnePlus Open. So pretty excited about that. And I want to talk about that some. Also, I've got some other foldables here and want to kind of contrast and compare some of that stuff because we've seen all the foldables that we're going to see here in the US for the rest of the year anyway. But thank you for everybody who's here so far. I'm sure other people will hop in here in a minute. We just got started, so the notifications got to go out. The bat signal goes up. People got to stop chewing their food and click on the link and join in the live stream. Trenton's Tech. Hey, yes, I know you too. I talked to you earlier, and I'm going to talk some about the OnePlus Open tonight because we were talking about this whole giveaway thing. So if y'all are not up on the latest and greatest, OnePlus is working with MKBHD right now to do a giveaway for some OnePlus Open phones. So they're giving away 100 of them. 100. And I was doing some math. Of course, I used a calculator just to confirm because I don't do math well. But anyway, so they're $1,699 MSRP. $1,700 for this right here. And I want to get y'all's opinion on something in a second here as well, if I remember. But yeah, so effectively $1,700. They're giving away 100 of them. That's $170,000 retail MSRP inventory giveaway. Like, that's pretty impressive. So anyway, if y'all feel so inclined, I mean, I'm not here supporting OnePlus or MKBHD, but if you meander over to his Twitter page, there's like a Gleam.io entry contest thing that you can do. And I don't think it's too involved. I think you just have to like follow him, follow OnePlus, maybe retweet it or something. I don't think there's a whole lot, but I mean, these internet contests, I mean, I know he's got like 15 million, 16 million subscribers or whatever, but I find that participation on them is a lot lower than like the total number. So who knows? With 100 of them being given away, maybe you have a good chance. I don't know. But I do like the OnePlus Open quite a bit. And so the thing I want to get y'all's opinion on, and you can sound off in the comments or whatever, if you watch this later on, not live, what do you think about the camera module on the back? Somebody earlier said that it's like the ugliest camera module out of like all the phones this year, and I like it. I think it looks pretty. I think it looks elegant. I think it looks professional. I mean, it certainly stands out and lets you know that they mean business. Because if you take a look, OnePlus Open cameras, Z Fold 5 cameras, I actually think this is kind of the ugliest. It's just three little small cameras, and we know that they're not the greatest in the world. They're not like the S23 Ultra. And then we have this camera bar, which, I mean, it's not very pretty. It's pretty bland. I don't think either of those really are all that impressive when you look at them from the back. But I like the way this looks. So y'all sound off and let me know what you think. I'm curious. Reminds me of a rotary dial phone, TechBytes 2021. I know what a rotary dial phone is. I used to be so fast on those things. I'd be Johnny on the spot, spinning a little dial trying to trying to call back when you used to actually have to dial numbers and didn't just type in letters or numbers to pick up somebody's name. But thanks a lot for everybody taking the time out of your day to be here tonight. Certainly appreciate it. I'm sorry it couldn't have been yesterday. Things have been kind of in a state of flux here the last week with my family and some stuff going on that I'd put a YouTube community post out about. But yeah, tired, been quite out of pocket, and just kind of adding insult to injury with 3 weeks basically of kind of phone launches. It's like, all right, iPhone 15 Pro, Pro Max, Pixel 8 Pro, OnePlus Open, and then thought maybe I might get a few days to kind of sit back on my heels and relax and maybe get some rest, and then it's just gone into like overdrive mode. So it's been a tough week. But yeah, the OnePlus Open is officially on sale now, and it was crazy because there were some people that were complaining about like pre-order stuff because I guess the pre-orders, maybe they ran out. Maybe there weren't enough. I don't know. Or maybe they had a controlled level of inventory and they're like, okay, we're going to cut it off right here, because they did have some incentives and some things like that. So they went on sale today. They apparently have inventory so you can get them. But some folks were like, how are they doing a 100 phone giveaway, but they weren't able to take all the pre-orders? But a lot of times when it comes to like pre-orders and stuff, they'll have a select amount of inventory available because they have incentives and deals, and they probably just cut that off, and then they had available sale inventory. I know a buddy of mine, Mark's Tech, he ordered one on Amazon, and it was supposed to show up later, and then it updated today that it was going to be there tomorrow. So I know that they're available and out there, but yeah, maybe there were some hiccups with the pre-order. I didn't pre-order it because OnePlus gave me the phone. And I do like it a lot. I was really surprised. I was kind of concerned, and it's funny because like the sentiment out in the tech community is by and large very, very positive. A lot of people really like the phone, and it's funny because so many people that like this phone don't really care for like the OnePlus 11, like the flagship phone. So to see such positive engagement, positive reflection from a lot of other tech reviewers, outside of just the fact that I think it's good, it's pretty good. I think a lot of people that have picked it up so far like it as well. So the big thing with this phone is you get the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2, which, I mean, that was the big thing that we wanted with the Z Fold 5. Gave us better battery life, better performance, all those great things. But basically, OnePlus took it up a notch. You can see it's wider. Like, you can see it's quite a bit wider. And they gave us a bigger battery, a much brighter screen. This sucker, inside and out, goes up to 2,800 nits brightness, which is just insane. But if I remember correctly, the high maximum brightness that you can manually turn it up to, I believe, is 1,600, which is the same as the iPhone 15 Pro Max, if I remember correctly. But the thing that I like about the Z Fold 5 is, like, I don't mind the front screen that much because it's kind of like a, all right, just reply to some text, casually look at some things. You can do stuff there, but the magic happens when you open it up, right? And then, of course, you have the S Pen, which makes it extra special, and then it's got DeX, so I like that. But when you use this, it's basically like having a full-size front screen. So it's not the short, wide, fat screen like we get with the Pixel Fold, which you can see these side by side. So it's like short and wide. You get effectively a normal size phone screen on the front, which is great. But then when you open it up, you still get a very much similar screen ratio to what you get with the Z Fold, just slightly bigger, and then you get some really, really powerful camera stuff. And I do think the cameras are pretty good. I don't think they're as awesome as that they portray them to be in every single area, because OnePlus is always, they always go over the top and exaggerate with some of their stuff. But I think realistically, and with some of the photos and stuff that I took with it, I think it's a good phone. So let me answer some of these questions and get in here and say stuff. Lots of people in here tonight. 107 concurrent viewers right now. So happy. Thanks for all y'all being here. So K. Charnay, Slowpoke, Daniel the Big D in the U.S. Rise Up at 10. Astral is off the chain. Brahmada. Ashutosh. Something. I'm not going to try and say all that. Tech Bytes 2021. Katina, thanks for being here. I absolutely love the camera from Katina Sutherland. Yeah, the camera's cool. I think that it looks nice. I think it stands out and it looks elegant and it's centered. It's not like the OnePlus 11 where it kind of like the bar sticks over to the side. It actually is centered on the phone. So I do like that quite a bit. And then we've got Patty here, my awesome, wonderful moderator. Thanks for being here. And thank you for all that you do. Andrew, Slowpoke, Sea Monkey Metals. Man, tons of people here tonight. Thanks for showing up. And I'm going to try and get to some of these questions and all this good stuff. Mona Samad, for small hands, is Z Fold still better to hold? Yes. So I have small hands. For somebody who's 6 foot tall, I don't have very big hands. It's very, very easy to be able to use the Z Fold one-handed on the front. I can type on it no problem. And then, of course, even if I open it all the way up, I can still hold it one-handed. And comfortably, the dimensions on this, like if I could get the dimensions on the Z Fold somehow with the front screen of the OnePlus Open, that would be magical because I can hold the Z Fold up with one hand. I can do the same with the OnePlus Open, but it requires a little bit more of a stretch. It's not quite as comfortable, but either way. And one thing I like about this, when it opens, it has a little bit of spring tension, so once you get it to about 85%, it just kind of goes ahead and pushes itself the rest of the way and flattens out. But I've been really happy with it. It's a very, very good phone. I've been impressed with it. OnePlus did a good job. Does it wobble when you lay it down? Slightly. Just because you've got the oversized camera module on this side, so it will wobble a little bit if you press on like the sides and the stuff. The middle is mostly okay, but if you press on the sides, yeah, it'll still wobble, just like the other ones. Except for the Pixel Fold, it doesn't wobble. The way, well, does it? No. I guess they all kind of wobble a little bit. I don't really put them down and use them like that, so I had to think about that. And then it depends on if you have a case on it. The case kind of mitigates things a little bit with some of the phones. So there is that. But I want to show something here because you can see, like, on the camera, a lot of people really don't like the crease. Like, the crease is very, very obvious on the Z Fold 5, and I think it's improved some. It's kind of sharper crease in the middle, though, just the way they design things. And I think the OnePlus Open, you see how it's a little flatter. It's not quite as deep, and it's spread out a little bit more, so it's less intrusive. You can hardly even feel it when you run your finger across it. Very much kind of like what you get with the Pixel Fold. Like the way the Pixel Fold is set up, it's kind of a wider crease, but it even has a sharper indentation on it. So I think out of the 3 foldable phones available in the US right now, that the screen is the best on the OnePlus Open. Let me see. Rain. My concern with foldables is the folding screen would go bad in a year. So I haven't used one more than a year because I trade them in every year whenever I get the new ones, as I'm apt to do as a tech reviewer who reviews these phones. But the last 2 or 3 phones, Z Fold 5, 4, and 3, even at the end of the year, and as extensively as I use them, I haven't had any concerns. Like, I felt like it could go at least another year or 2 with no problem. But one thing I do recommend a lot with these phones is, as somebody clicked right here, Rise Up a 10, insurance. Get the insurance with them, because if you plan on keeping this phone 2 or 3 years, you might start to get into some uncharted territory by year 3, especially with wear and tear and things like that. You don't want to be in a position to where the sucker breaks somehow, and then you're stuck holding an expensive phone that, like, has issues. Karen Porter, does it work with Good Lock? I don't know. I think Good Lock is exclusively Samsung. I'm about 95% sure Good Lock is a Samsung thing, so I'm pretty sure that it does not. But I do like OnePlus and their Oxygen and their Oxygen OS and their take on Android 13. I'm waiting for Android 14. So that's one interesting thing. Android 14 is available. Actually, I haven't even messed with my Pixel Fold in a while. It was taking forever and wasn't getting the Android 14 update. Let me see if it's available. Yeah, I still don't have Android 14 on my Pixel Fold, which kind of pisses me off because Android 14 has been out for a couple of weeks, and the other phones have been getting it. My Pixel 7 Pro got it almost a month ago, so I would like to get it for my Pixel Fold. But all 3 of these phones effectively, at least from my end, are running Android 13 right now, and they're all running pretty good. So I'm curious to see if, like, the battery life improvements and things like that will extend to these phones as we get to Android 14, which the battery life is already very, very good on the Z Fold 5, and it's very good on the OnePlus Open. It's pretty not good on the Pixel Fold. So I'm hoping that Android 14 will give a little boost to our good friend, the Pixel Fold, which is frustrating to me. And I tweeted about this a few weeks ago, and I stand by this. Google absolutely should have waited and put the Tensor 3 in the Pixel Fold. If I had the Tensor 3 in the Pixel Fold right now, that would probably be my #1 daily driver right now. Let me see. Slowpoke. Android 14 lags with multiple profiles. I don't run multiple profiles, and that's nothing that I would ever test because I don't. So I haven't run across that issue. But it may have been you that commented on that on one of my videos or somebody else, but I have heard that. Mitch Israel. What is the phone of the year so far that Techtober is almost over? You know, somebody asked me that the other day, and I don't have a good answer for it. And I kind of take a stance, kind of like MKBHD does whenever he does his end of the year awards. there are different phones that excel at different things, right? So if I were to say, what is the best flagship phone? Like, it's going to come down to probably the S23 Ultra, the Pixel 8 Pro, the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Like, largely, most people are probably going to say the iPhone 15 Pro Max is the best. I think the S23 Ultra is better than the 15 Pro Max just because of the expanded feature set that you get with it. I think it has slightly better battery life. I think the S Pen gives you a leg up. I think the cameras are more versatile. I think One UI 6 is, and One UI 5 even, is better than iOS 17 in a lot of ways. There's just a lot of different decks even. So I think that the iPhone 15 Pro Max is a really good phone. I think it's the best iPhone they've ever made. I think it's a really good phone. But I think the S23 Ultra, as far as like best flagship phone of the year, is still, for most people, probably up there at the top. I mean, and then me personally, my favorite is the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V. Do I think it's the best phone? No, I don't. It's my favorite, but it's kind of hard when you stack it up and you go, oh, yeah, I love the Xperia 1 Mark V, but gosh darn it, it gets 2 years of upgrades, and it came out halfway through the Android 13 cycle, so sucker's going to get, what, Android 15? At $1,400, that's ridiculous, right? So I, in good conscience, can't recommend that phone to a lot of people, especially because a lot of folks just like to be able to do point-and-shoot photography. They like a wider screen. Yeah, there's just different things that are out there. But, I mean, I love the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V, and I love the OnePlus. So there are so many good phones this year. Normally, it's like, all right, one of them is kind of a step above a lot of the other phones, but I feel like the 15 Pro Max is really improved over the 14 Pro Max this year. I feel like the S23 Ultra has really improved over the S22 Ultra. I feel like the Pixel 8 Pro has really improved over the 7 Pro. So I'm going to have to do some soul searching and some time with this and kind of maybe condense that down. I was actually thinking about making a massive video. Like, I had somebody that commented on a video of mine earlier, and they're like, okay, so now that you've talked about these phones, which one is the phone, like, which one are you daily driving? I'm like, well, I'm daily driving like 5 of them right now. So he said, you know, maybe you should go ahead and just make a video about why, the things you like about all of them. And I replied back that, well, if I'm going to do that, then I probably need to charge $10 admission because it's going to be like an hour-and-a-half movie. But if y'all have any interest in this, y'all can sound off in the comments. Would you like to see a giant collage video where I've got basically like the 10 best phones of the year, and I go for like 5 or 10 minutes, this is what I like about this phone, this is what I like about this phone, these are the things I like about this phone, because I'm certainly capable of doing that. I mean, I can do it. But I would need to know, is there value in that? I'm like, would y'all enjoy watching something like that? Because, you know, I don't sit up here and I'm like, I don't get into a lot of comparison videos. If I do, it's kind of like on a practical level. I really am not a person to go out and take the same shot with 3 different cameras and be like, oh, well, this one, the contrast variable and the HDR10 on this one really shines. The 10, like, that's not my area of expertise, and I've made those videos and nobody really cared for them. I'm more of a practical kind of guy when I talk about this stuff. So if you would like to see a practical guide to the 10 best phones, flagship phones of 2023, let me know, and I will make that video. Slowpoke, I'm a fan of 21:9 phones. I like 21:9. I really love the aspect. You know, and it's funny because I only have so much room in my pockets here. I got the Z Fold 5 and I brought it out here. I brought the OnePlus Open out here. I brought the Pixel Fold out here. I've got my iPhone 15 Pro Max that I brought out here. And then I've got the Pixel 8 Pro that I brought out here because I was like, well, we'll probably talk about some of these tonight. But I'm like, all right, I can't I can't bring all of them. Just watch Mark's Tech for those comparisons, Brian Lau. Yeah, Mark's Tech, he does some of that stuff. He dives a lot more, and that's one of the things. So I've got a lot of friends that do this stuff. Like Mark's Tech, he's a good buddy of mine. Even earlier in the video, Trenton's Tech, he was in here. He's a good friend of mine, and he does a lot of like contrarianism, and he likes to kind of look at some of the stuff from a different perspective. Because, I mean, we all complain about stuff, right? But at the end of the day, a lot of times there's some meaningful updates and things. So yeah, it's you could look at some of his stuff for a different perspective. A good buddy of mine, Tech Tablets, he really dives into a lot of the camera comparison stuff. And I'll talk to him sometimes, and he's editing a video 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because he's trying to put these camera comparisons together that take hours and hours and hours, and he's really good at them. Also, Danny Winget, he is really good at camera comparison stuff, especially like when the new flagship phones come out, iPhones and S23 Ultra and things like that. So there's a lot of different outlets and a lot of really competent and good guys who are reviewers who I know personally who we'll have different styles. And that's what's cool, because a lot of times people will watch the MKBHD video because it looks cool and it's in like 4K and it's a great presentation. And then they'll come watch my video for like my more kind of down-to-earth commentary on my thoughts. So what I generally recommend is, if you're in the market to get a new phone, watch a couple different videos from a couple different walks of life and different flavors, or a Flossie Carter video or something like that, and kind of balance it out and get a good feel for what the phones bring to the table and what might be right for you. Let me see. Tech Bites, you wear a lot of cargo pants to carry 5 phones. So I don't necessarily carry 5 phones at a time. Usually it's 3. I have 3 active SIM cards. So currently my SIM cards are in my iPhone 15 Pro Max, my OnePlus Open, and my Pixel 8 Pro. And that's because those are like the most recent phones. So those are the 3 that I've been testing. But yeah, it's really good this time of year because I can wear my hoodie and it has a lot of pockets in it. So like I'll have one in this pocket, I carry one in my hand at all times, the other one's in this pocket, and it's just so ridiculous to try and keep track of all this stuff. I'm really ready to kind of like throttle it back a little bit. I know I make daily videos, but yeah, I need a day off. I definitely need a day off. Wobbles, random question, but how safe are phones to use after they receive their final security update? I'm on a Pixel, but I don't want to update my phone yet, but support ends in a few months. So 2 questions I have. One, typically, I don't want to give you a false sense of security, but it's not the biggest deal. But as you get further and further away from these updates, they become less secure. Obviously, that's a very apparent fact. But what you get is, typically when you have emerging things that are like malware and phishing and different viruses and security exploits, a lot of that stuff comes with the newer hardware, the new technology, the new updates and things like that. Because it, like, something that affects the like iPhone 15 Pro Max may not necessarily affect like the iPhone 8, because people aren't really targeting that anymore. There might be new things in the software since then, but then there's also, of course, things that are latent in the system that they might find and exploit on years later that you might not have a relevant hotfix or security patch for that could make your phone more vulnerable. But by and large, most times I like to look at phone security the same way I look at computer security. Don't open any attachments or emails from people you don't know. Don't click on weird links. Don't go to websites that you don't know or trust. And don't download fishy stuff or download apps or sideload any applications that aren't from the App Store. And you'll probably be okay. But as your phone does get older, you're going to lose software support, right? So we're starting to see that now, even with like some of my legacy followers in here with BlackBerry Mobile, Android 8.1 with the BlackBerry Key 2. Some stuff is starting to lose support. And then we just saw with Android 14, apps that are Android 5 and earlier can no longer be installed on these newer phones. So there is a point where your phone becomes obsolete. And I don't know what phone you're using. I'm assuming it's like a Pixel 5 if you're saying that it's fixing to be like out of date. So Pixel 5, maybe a Pixel 4a 5G, something like that. It's its last update or last operating system update. I'm not sure what phone you're using, but what I would encourage is a lot of these newer phones are significantly better. They have a lot better security protection, especially with the built-in security of the Titan chip and all that stuff that goes with the Google phones. And a lot of carriers have good, decent deals. So if you've got your phone or you have the opportunity to go through AT&T, T-Mobile, whatever, and you can trade in your phone, I mean, you could very well maybe even get like a Pixel 8 for a very low price, or maybe even free or with an upgrade or something. And excuse me, that would be much more relevant, much more secure, and have much better capabilities, battery life, and all that stuff. So I would ask, at a certain point, it's not good to hold on to it because the battery's going to be diminished and like the security is not going to be as good. The phone just won't be as good. So that's my thoughts. Art Dog, condensation. Wow, what am I missing here? Condensation? You have to elaborate on that. Tech Bites. Yeah, phone gangster. That is me. I have a lot of phones. Dollar Griffey, my guy. What's up, bro? Thanks for being here. Brian Lau, Flossie Carter reviews are like trash talk on the basketball court. Yes. His videos are very interesting. And I don't mean interesting in a bad way, but it is a different flavor of tech review, but very interesting. And I like his cat, White Shoes. He's pretty neat too. So, yeah. And it's funny because if I go look at the analytics on my videos, a lot of people that watch Flossie Carter actually watch my videos too. I can see like the top 10 channels that other people who watch my videos watch. And it's kind of interesting looking at some of that to see, because a lot of folks are like, oh, hey, I watch them too. And you kind of get that similarity because a lot of us kind of have similar presentations. We're very to the point, upfront, honest, and not trying to imply that a lot of reviewers are not honest. I think pretty much most reviewers are pretty honest. We all just have different delivery styles. But yeah, if I take a look at my audience and it says channels your audience watches. So the last 28 days, my channel watches Unbox Therapy, Dave 2D, Parker Burton, Waveform Clips, Tech Talk TV, Max Tech, TechSpurt, Short Circuit, Mr. Mobile, Flossie Carter, Waveform Podcasts, Zalo Tech, Super Staff, and In-Depth Tech Reviews. Those are the channels that my folks, you guys and gals, apparently watch, other than my channel. And they're all good guys. I love Dave 2D. I'd like to meet him in person one day. Even Flossie. I've not met Flossie. I've not met Dave 2D. I've met Mr. Mobile. I know him. We catch up whenever we have these events that we go to. Parker Burton, I know him. A lot of guys I know. I've met a lot of guys over the years that do this stuff. And it's always fun. It's always fun to go to these events because when I went to New York, and y'all saw the New York video that I made, of course, but I was in New York for a specific reason, and that was because OnePlus flew me up there. It gave me the OnePlus Open, and then I was up there for 2 days taking photos with it and doing stuff. So, yeah, that stuff's fun because you get to kind of hang out with all the other tech reviewer guys that you get to see once or twice a year, and it's always fun. Dr. Emily Acevedo, welcome. Glad to have you here again. iPhone update for the double tap is finally out. Yes. And I believe for the Apple Watch too. So if you have the Apple Watch Ultra 2 and you want to do this to do stuff on your watch, I mean, I have no interest in that. But if you want to and you feel so inclined, I believe that that's finally available. I think a couple operating system updates came out for a lot of different things here the last few days. And did I miss a super chat or something? Here's one from Slowpoke for $50, which absolutely. Thank you so much for that. That's a ton of money, man. You really didn't need to do that, but thank you so much. that is a ton of money. Thank you. I thought maybe I missed another one. Oh, here's another one. Yeah, I knew I missed one. Aragon 260 499. Don't spend it all on one phone. Hey, so I won't because I have all of them. If I were to tally up how much money I spend a year on phones, I would wager it's probably about in the $15,000 range. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. Oh, here we go. Brian Lau, Art Dog, talking about the condensation in the camera housing. So I think in Mr. Mobile's video, he talked about that. And it was funny because it was kind of chilly and it was wet and rainy. Like I got rained all over while I was in New York. Nobody really talked about that while I was there, so I didn't experience that personally, but it can happen. And what he said was that the replacement unit they gave him on the spot has not presented that problem. So I don't think it's a super wide issue, but if it is something that happens with your phone, definitely exchange it for another one. Notorious, Floss is a good dude. I mean, that's my impression of him. And I love he does like these, he calls them his Snyder cut videos or whatever. I think somebody was saying he just recently did a video that was an hour and a half or something. Like, bro could talk for like a long time. And it's impressive. Like, I've almost felt like challenging him just to see how long of a video that I could do. I mean, I can do it. I believe in myself. If there's one thing that people say about us Matlocks is we like to hear ourselves talk. And I actually have a funny story about that. So when I was in the military, when I was graduating from my tech school, for those of you who don't know, I was Air Force Security Forces for 16 and a half years. And my dad at the time was the Security Forces commander here in Houston, which is the unit that I was going to. Normally, you can't go into the same unit that your dad is in, right? Like nepotism and stuff, and like your dad can't be your commanding officer. There's conflict of interest there. But he already had a line number to leave to go to another unit to go be the full-time commander there. So they allowed me to go ahead and enter the pipeline and go to tech school because when I got back, he left like a week later. But the people in San Antonio at Lackland at the schoolhouse found out that my dad was a security forces commander. So they reached out to him and they like brought him in to be the keynote speaker for our graduation. And I was not happy about that because I know how long-winded my dad is and how much he can talk. I don't know if he ever watches any of my videos, but if he does, Dad used more 2-syllable words. He uses a lot of 4- and 5-syllable words. So we were sitting there, and I'm sitting there next to like my best friend in tech school, a couple of my friends, and they're like, "Wow, that's cool. Your dad's here to talk." I'm like, I wouldn't say that yet. And then like 40 minutes later, when he finally stopped talking, they're like, "Dude, your dad will not shut up." I'm like, "Yeah, well, that's my dad." So I have full confidence that I could definitely talk about a phone for an hour. No, Rain, the apple did not fall far from the tree. and we're all pretty high educated. Like my dad has a doctorate degree. Like I've got a doctorate degree. My brother's got a master's degree. Like we all talk with a lot of syllables most of the time. And anyway, it's always an entertaining event when we're all in the same place. But yeah, Katina, you should challenge yourself against Flossie. I may do it. Like maybe this weekend when I've got some time and I can sit there. Rob Albano. Anyone else cry after Flossie's 1V video? I don't think I watched his Xperia 1 Mark V video. I should go watch that. My guess is he probably didn't like it. Slowpoke. Honestly, I like this guy better than MKBHD. This guy, I guess you mean me, maybe? MKBHD had dead pixels on the inner screen of the OnePlus Open 2 weeks after using it. Yeah, I saw that too. Those things are kind of one-offs. So when it comes to any of these phones, any phone is subject to having quality assurance issues because there's so many delicate parts, right? They're mass-produced. They go through and they test them. These things can pop up. That's why you have a 1-year manufacturer's warranty. In the event that you have condensation that pops up in your camera or you have some dead pixels on the screen, that is a manufacturer defect that you can go, here, give me another one because you gave me a defective product. That is something that can happen with anything, whether it's a refrigerator, a TV, a car, a phone, whatever. So these one-offs, I don't really concern myself too much with that because I think they're isolated events. If it's a systemic issue, kind of like when the iPhone 15 Pro Max came out and you've got thousands of people going, wow, my phone is really hot. Why is it doing that? That doesn't seem right. Well, then that is something like an issue that I will like discuss. But I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, we have a scandal with the OnePlus Open because there was some condensation in the camera lens. Dun dun dun. You know, it's just I don't see any virtue in that. It's not helping anybody. Notorious. He will literally talk about a product for almost 2 hours, makes it feels like he's talking, and I've watched every video. Yeah, so he really goes in depth talking about a lot of stuff. The only thing that I wish he did more of is like he'll take them out and he'll take a picture of the phone he's holding. He'll take a picture of white shoes or whatever. I would like to see him go out and like take some photos outside, like actually go out and do some photography stuff. And I'm guilty of this too. I don't always do that. But whenever it comes to full reviews on phones, typically I'll do that because I want people to get a good feel for the capabilities of the phone. What's like night shot, ultra wide, some telephoto stuff, you know, some different situations, not just taking pictures of my face or flowers. I really feel like that's important when you do a full review. I do a lot of videos, good, bad, or indifferent. Some people don't like it, whatever. Don't watch that week. That's fine. When a new phone comes out, I talk about a lot of stuff. I don't just like to condense it into one video. as I'm using it and learning things about it or experiencing things, like I'll make a couple of videos that week, so that way you can get kind of a wide flavor of what it's like to use the phone or what you can expect. And I do have one thing I want to clarify. I'm an idiot. Not that half of you probably didn't know that, but I'm an idiot. The OnePlus Open, so I sat in a pre-briefing for half a day where OnePlus people, experts were up talking about the screen, talking about all the features, the multitasking, the screen, like all day long, like half a day. And then there was an hour and a half Q&A session afterward. I could have sworn that somebody asked if it had video output on the USB-C, and they said no. So when I made my video, I didn't even test it. I was like, okay, we talked about this. They said it's not there, so it doesn't work. And then I come to discover that it does. So that was a misunderstanding on my part. I put a comment in the video, but I can't very well go back and edit the video after it's already out there. So for those of you who want to know, video out works on the USB-C. Now, it does not on the Pixel 8, any of the Pixel phones, which kind of irks me. Even though I know somebody's going to come back and say this, yes, there is technically the capability for video out on the Pixel 8 and 8 Pro if you hack it. So the capability is there, but it's shut off. So that leads me to believe that at some point Google is going to do something with it. But as of right now, you can't use it unless basically like you hack the port. Anyway, Trenton's Tech. I'm an idiot too. Hey, I should just change my videos from like TechOdyssey to Idiot Tech. That would probably work better. Brian Lau. Yeah, he does have one from here to there, but like consistently in a lot of his videos, I just see like he'll just snap like a picture of something on the table there or whatever. I have seen one or two of them where he has gone more in depth, and I appreciate that. I'm not trying to cast shade on the dude at all. I'm just saying that if I were to say, hey, what would I like to see out of his videos? I love the discussion. I love the down-to-earth approach. I love what he does. I just like to see more pictures. Like, what was it, that show on Netflix? I just want to take some pictures. Anyway. Let me see. He'll do some pics when he tests pics and videos. Yes, it's the same pics and videos of things, but sometimes he puts pics of himself in there and food, but it's rare. Yeah, and I may have missed some of those. I don't watch every single one of Flossie's videos. I don't watch every single one of MKBHD videos. I don't watch every single one of Dave 2D's videos. I would say on average for a new phone that comes out, I don't even watch videos until after I've made my video because I don't want to be influenced by someone else's work or opinions. So after I put my video out, then I will watch some other folks' videos. And except I'm just curious. It's like if you get in, I don't want to say it's a contest or a competition, but you make a video, right? Like you make a product. Just like if I were to go to a chili contest or if I were to go do something else competitively and then I've done my performance, like you want to look and see what everybody else is doing because I'm curious what their takes are, right? I'm curious what they think about it or what their thoughts are on battery life, kind of what kind of photos that they're taking. I like to look at it afterward. It's just kind of interesting to see what other tech reviewers are doing and their thoughts on it. But I make my stuff like with horse blinders on in a vacuum. Whenever I make my video, I test it, I use it for like 2 weeks, and then, okay, there's my full review, and then I look at other people's stuff. So I guess I would say I'm kind of privileged in a perspective. Like some of these phones I get early, like the OnePlus Open I got early, some other phones that I get early. Not all of them, though. Some of them I have to wait until launch day, but then I'm so busy making my own content that I don't have time for anything anyway. Chad McKinney. Honestly, I ordered the OnePlus Open, and I feel the colors and saturation is not as good as the Z Fold, and I'm watching on both currently. I love the Open. I'm not sure I love the software. And also, there was a big update that got pushed out today. I think it was like 800 megs or something. Anyway, it was very, very large, and there were a lot of different fixes. And it was interesting because whenever OnePlus gave us the phone, they're like, okay, we need you to hold your full review until we push this patch out because there were some things that they needed to fix. So I'm like, okay, cool. I was just testing everything that I could and then tested out the new things once they came out the last couple of days and then made my video because there wasn't that big of a deal. But this update has a lot of substantial different things, improvements to the camera, improvements to system performance, improvements to multitasking. Like there's a lot of improvements So I would say see if you've got that update available, and then maybe do a gloss over the next couple of days and see how it goes. But here's the thing: there was an issue with the OnePlus Open when it first came out. Not when it first came out, but it was supposed to come out a month ago, and they ran into issues with the panels, and they ended up having to switch. So the panels on them are, I believe, they're made by BOE. They're not Samsung. And I think they were originally going to be Samsung, and then something happened, and they had to switch to BOE like last minute and got different panels. And that may even change for some of the other models later on. They might have different screens. I'm not, don't even quote me on that, but I think that might be an issue. That might be a thing. But Samsung usually makes the foldable displays, and this is actually, it's a BOE display. But as far as saturation, I would say go into the settings. So go into the settings, go into display, and once you're into display, you can change some things. Like you've got the natural tone display that's in there, image sharpener, bright HDR mode. Like there's a couple different things that you can mess around with. Screen color mode, this is also important. Natural, pro, vivid, default, warm, cool. Like you can adjust that stuff. So I wouldn't just say right off the bat that it's not quite as good as far as saturation, the color popping. It might just be the color profiles and how they're tuned by default. So maybe go on there and mess with the settings and see if you can get it more calibrated with your preference. Let me see. Interesting, because a lot of people are saying that they like the OnePlus Open software more than Samsung. Yeah, I don't want to say that I like it more. I still feel like the Samsung is better at multitasking. Of course, it's got DeX. I really like the implementation of the S Pen and all that stuff. So I think that Samsung is more refined. But for a first stab at it, I really think that people had the bar of expectation quite low for OnePlus, because OnePlus doesn't have that great of an opinion. I don't think a lot of tech reviewers like them that much. You don't see a lot of videos about them. You don't see a lot of long-term coverage on them. It's like, all right, one video and done. Everybody loves the Samsungs and the iPhones and all that stuff. So I think OnePlus is probably like 4th or 5th down the road when it comes to coverage. And I try to cover all of them. And I usually cover them throughout the year. But I ended up giving my OnePlus 11 to somebody who lost their phone. So that's why I haven't made videos about it anymore. But yeah, I've been really impressed. This first stab at it with OnePlus has been very impressive. And then super chat here from Kenny Jun, or June Jun, $10. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And of course, you didn't have to do that. I always like to say this: nobody has to give me anything. Now, if you do, I certainly appreciate it. It is a wonderful gesture. I really appreciate it, but you don't have to. Please don't feel like you have to. But thank you so much. It is very nice of you. Brian Lau, why did they omit wireless charging? Like the true version or like the lie? No, I'm not. I don't think they're lying, but just a joke. So the phone itself is very thin. It is much thinner and lighter than its counterparts. Like the Pixel Fold is, I think it's like 50 grams heavier. It's significantly heavier. This one is the thinnest and lightest of the three. So they said that there's not enough to make it the way they did. That it would have had to been, I guess, thicker if they were to put the coil in there. But then a lot of people are like, it really doesn't take up that much space. It probably wouldn't impact that. Look, I have talked about this before. I don't really care about wireless charging. I know some people do. So I don't want to discredit your interest in wireless charging or anybody else's. But when I can have 67 watt wired charging, and the thing with wireless charging is you can't use the phone while it's charging. It's much, much, much slower. It's less efficient. So in the time you could get 5% of battery charge on your phone with wireless charging, you can get like 50% charging with the charger, which of course is included. So, and it has all-day battery. So my thought process is, and I think theirs is too, is one, it's not fast enough for them to where they feel like putting it in there because they believe that your phone should charge fast, which whatever, that's their mantra. And two, the wired charging is just so good, and the battery life lasts all day. So I can see why they didn't, and I'm sure it shaved down some of the costs. Maybe it saved a little bit, but excuse me. Do I think it should have it? Yes. Principally, I believe it should have it, especially for a $1,700 phone. But do I think that it's as big of a deal as some people make about it? Because some people blow this stuff out of proportion. I think it's not that big of a deal, especially since they also give you the charger, and it charges really fast. You can charge the entire phone in less than an hour. You can get 50% charge in like 25 minutes. So I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I can see why. Trevor, do I like the Open more than the Z Fold? Yes and no. So I really like the phone, but I am still very part of Team S Pen. If OnePlus came out with, like, let's say their pencil that you could use with the tablet, if they made a dedicated stylus for this, I would probably jump ship. I probably would because I really do enjoy this phone. Like, it's no joke, and I think a lot of people look at some stuff as disingenuous because I was really surprised. I put out my video. I can't even remember what the title of it was. Let me look, but it was positive. Let me see. What did I call it? I said OnePlus Open review. They nailed it. And then I saw everybody else's. Like, I saw all these videos popping out. Like, they did it right. The best of the year. It's so good. And normally, me as a skeptical person, if I saw all that, I'm like, okay, OnePlus just gave you all the phone. You're just saying that it's positive so you can get clicks. But it's a darn good phone. Like, I've been really impressed with it. So I think the resounding sentiment from the community is that OnePlus did a great job. So I like it, but if I had to go in and pick one, the Z Fold or the OnePlus Open, it would be close, but I would probably still go with the Z Fold. And also, another super chat here from Dala Griffey, $5. What would your ultimate phone be if you were in the charge of building it? Glad you asked that question. So, I made a video today talking about the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V and the Pixel 8 Pro, and kind of like Pro versus processed, which is kind of better because when you take a look at a lot of these phones, right? Each phone kind of has their own little thing. Like the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V, manual shutter. I mean, it's got the Sony camera stuff, Sony Alpha stuff built into it. It's like a pocket DSLR, manual controls, 4K screen. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on there. I really like it. I love the form factor. But it's not the best for point and shoot photography. It's not the best in long-term support. It's very expensive. There's no S Pen, things like that. So if I could take the body of the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V, keep the manual camera controls, bring the level of expertise of the point and shoot photography from a Google camera with the Sony lens on the Xperia 1 Mark V, and then I could have an S Pen, that would be my ideal phone. That would be it. But again, yes, thank you for the super chat, Mr. Griffey. That's a good question. I'm glad to answer that one. Notorious, why do you think folding phones do not give an option to not mirror home screens? That really disturbs me. I don't know. Just because I think with practicality and having a larger landscape, you can fit all of it out there. So I don't know. I think that's an Android issue. I don't think that that's inherently a manufacturer issue. I think that's just the way that they're set up. So my kind of thought process moving forward, especially as people have kind of been complaining about this, is I think maybe by the time we see Android 15 that we might kind of have some more options there. So foldable phones really were pioneered by Samsung, and Samsung doesn't make Android. This is the first Android phone, excuse me, from Google, the Pixel Fold. So I expect now that they're like on board with the foldable game, that as we see the Fold 2, the Fold 3, we'll see more of these options be built into Android that will then spread out to OnePlus and will spread out to Samsung. Because when you take a look at Oxygen OS, you take a look at stock Android, you take a look at One UI, they're using the same tool set. Like they get what Android gives them. They get what Google gives them built into Android, and then they kind of do their own take on it. But it's kind of hard to put features in there at a foundational level that they don't have control over. Does that make sense? So I think we'll see more evolution of this going forward. Samsung needs wireless charging because you can't make it through the day on battery life. I disagree. Now, it depends on the Samsung phone, by the way. The S22 Ultra, S22, I wholeheartedly agree. Those phones had some sucky battery life. Like, it was terrible. But, yeah, whenever it comes to the S23 Ultra, fantastic battery life. I mean, I got like 9-10 hours on that some days, and that's not even using light mode. So my whole thought process is, if I can get 6 hours of screen on time the day, that's 1/4 of your day. And ideally, I mean, you live your life how you want. I got 2 hours of sleep today. I'm not living my life very responsibly today. But the ideal like life work sleep balance is you work 8 hours, you sleep 8 hours, and you do whatever you want to do for entertainment, food, work out, spend time with your family. 8 hours a day, 3 hours, 8 hours personal, 8 hours sleep, 8 hours of work. And if you're using your phone for 6 hours a day, like actively sitting there using it, that's 1/4 of your day. That's almost a third. That's like almost half the. Too much math here, but it's a third of your day. So that's going to bleed into your work life. That's going to bleed in your personal life. It's going to bleed into your sleep life. So if your phone will actually last that long, I think 6 hours is fine. And I think on average, most people probably use their phones about 3 hours a day. And then I have people in the comments who are like telling me how I'm a terrible person because I use my phone for 6 to 8 hours a day. This is my job. My job is to get this phone and to use the crap out of it. Test out the screen, test out the battery life, test out the cameras. I mean, sometimes when I make these videos, I got to pay $100 or $200 just to make the video. I mean, those croissants that I got over at Cheddar's, they were not free, I tell you. They were like $2 a pop. So, like, I go out and I do this stuff. Like, that's my job. I mean, that's what I effectively get paid to do. That's what y'all folks show up and support me for. So, yeah, I use my phone 8 hours a day. But as long as I can get 6, that gets me to the evening time comfortably without battery anxiety. So I figure if a phone can last me the normal waking hours from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and still have 20-30% battery left, 95% of the rest of the world will probably be fine. So, and these new phones are giving me like 8 hours. The iPhone 15 Pro Max, I'm getting 8 hours. The S23 Ultra, I get over 8 hours. OnePlus Open, I mean, I can get over 7 hours with this thing. So, I mean, that's why it frustrates me with the Pixel Fold, and I get like 4.5. And that's bad battery life, especially for a $1,700 phone, right? $1,800 phone. So that's kind of my principles and my philosophy on battery life and kind of how I manage, how I look at things. But yeah, everybody's needs are different for sure. I mean, if you're sitting out in an oil field doing nothing, staring at a meter for 12 hours a day, and you're bored and play on your phone, you probably use your phone more. If you're into e-gaming, if you create content like I do, and you do it a lot better and a lot more than I do, I mean, everybody's needs are different. And my mom uses her phone like an hour a day. So, you know, it just depends. If you rock a Samsung, you are misinformed. I don't really know what that means. Ed, welcome to the party. Yes, you are late to the party, but better late than never. Glad you're here. Notorious, talking to Griffey. I just don't understand why the Bluetooth S Pen is so much bigger than the S Pen on the S23 Ultra, so small and still Bluetooth. Yeah, I really wish. Well, they've kind of changed things up. I actually really liked the S Pen on the Z Fold 4. I liked the size of it. It was easy to use. I'm getting accustomed to this, but I don't like this. It's too small. And I know we're kind of like moving towards the evolution of being able to put the S Pen inside of the phone, but we're not there yet. I'm curious to see what Samsung does, though, because this was the last year where basically Samsung, they put theirs out first, kind of unchallenged, right? They were not really challenged. Now we have the OnePlus Open, resounding positive criticism. The Z Fold, the Pixel Fold is here. So I'm curious if we see more of the same old with the Z Fold 6 this next year, or whether they actually kind of change things up a little bit and try and set themselves above everybody else. And I'm still waiting. So Oppo was supposed to send me the Find N3 Flip. They said they were going to send it to me like 2 weeks ago, and it's still not here. So I emailed them today. But I also asked them about the Find N3, which is basically the other version of this phone. I haven't gotten a response back yet, but I'm going to try and get the Find N3 as well. But they are supposed to send me the N3 Flip. I was supposed to already have it. So sorry I haven't got coverage on that. I did ask Motorola about their new Razr, like just the regular Razr 2023, and they're like, sorry, bro, we don't have one to send you, which I wish they did. I really love the Motorola Razr Plus. I bought it myself. I kind of have a weird relationship with Motorola. They're like, they sent me the Think phone, which I was really excited about, and then I thought they would send me other stuff, and then I didn't make the list for that. So I'm trying to build these relationships so I can get more of these phones sent to me early so I can provide better coverage for you guys, and also so I don't have to go out and buy all of them. Like this year, I bought the Pixel 8, I bought the Pixel 7a, I bought the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V, I bought the S23 Ultra, I bought the Z Flip 5, I bought the Z Fold 5, I bought the Pixel Fold, I bought, like, I bought so many phones, right? But the other thing with that is I don't get them early. So whenever all these reviews come out, and a lot of these big reviewers have had them for like 2 or 3 weeks already, it's like a 50-50 proposition whether I was actually in and got one of those early. So who knows? I'm trying to get a better relationship with Samsung as well. I did ask them about an S23 FE. At least with Samsung now, like, they'll at least respond to my emails and tell me no, they won't send me one, which is a far cry from where I was the last few years. But I'm hoping one day when I say, hey guys, will you send me this phone? They'll be like, you know what? We'll send you one. And that would mean a lot, really, because when you take a look at the videos that I make, I mean, I know sometimes I'm like, this sucks, this is not very good. I mean, I don't really pull any punches, but I try to be as objective and fair as possible. Like, I don't feel like I'm being prejudicial or punitive or trying to make flashy videos to draw out negative criticism about the phones. But I don't make fluffy advertisement videos, which is not saying that that's what all manufacturers like. But if Samsung sent me a phone knowing the videos that I make, I would be very comfortable with, like, okay, they stand by their products. And I think that they do, really. But, yeah. Comments down here. Pixel Fold 2 has to really refine itself. The Pixel Fold, for a first phone, and it's not really a first phone. It's a first phone from them, yes. But Samsung built half of this phone. So it's a Samsung screen. Like, Samsung, it's like a 60% Samsung phone. So when they go, oh, it's their first phone, give them a break. It's not like the Z Fold. Like, the original Samsung Galaxy Fold was pioneered. It was a one-of-a-kind. Samsung created the mold and that product. And then 5 generations later, Google used that expertise to make 60% of their phone. So I'm more I criticize the phone more than I would a true first-generation product, because it's not like they built it from scratch. Like, they didn't do that. And they're building it off the expertise that Samsung has had over the last 5 generations. Same thing with OnePlus. I give them a lot of credit for a lot of the stuff they've incorporated in the software and the camera stuff, because I feel like they've gone above and beyond. But really, it's an Oppo phone, and this is like the 3rd generation of the Oppo Find N series. So it's not really their first phone. It's just that it's the first one OnePlus put their logo on and sold here in North America. So there are nuances to the ways that I approach some of this stuff, but by and large, I think all 3 of them stand out in different areas. And I think that's important, because when you look at it as a prospective buyer, there are some things that can appeal to a lot of folks. And I got to tell you, I took my first Pixel Fold back. I was like, you know what, this phone is not worth $1,800. But then I missed it. And then I was in Vegas, and I was walking down the strip, and they had one at T-Mobile, and I was like, oh, I qualify for the $1,000 off, and I don't have to trade anything in. So I was like, you know what? This is a fantastic $800 phone. So that's why I rebought it. And I had a lot of people that were like, I thought you returned this. I thought you returned this. I'm like, yes, I did return this phone. I still stand by the fact that I don't think it's worth $1,800. It still pisses me off that it doesn't have the Google Tensor G3. But for $800, I'll buy it. And that's how I ended up with it again. Oh, yeah, so I'm sorry, I missed a comment earlier, a question. Somebody was asking about the Pixel Watch 2. So the battery life is lasting me all day. I have very few notifications turned on, though. Notifications still destroy the battery on this. So if you are one of those people that's like, bzz, 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 like your notifications are going off all day long, it should probably still last you all day, but it might not be something overnight you're going to be able to use the sleep tracking. And then I just get up the next morning when I get up and I shower and brush my teeth. I put it on the charger for like 30 minutes. But I find that with my usage, with like the heart rate and the oxygen sensor and the temperature sensor and the fall detection and all that stuff. I'm getting, and sleep detection, like my sleep tracking and stuff. I'm getting about 30, I'll have about 35% battery left the next day. And that's okay with me. As long as I can get a full 24 hours, I can sleep with it on. I really like the sleep tracking stuff. I really hate this Fitbit premium crap that you have to pay for to like fully take advantage of the watch, which they give you the 6 months for free. It's like the introductory crack rock so you can get hooked on their services. I'm like, look, you need to ditch this. You're selling this phone for too much, or this watch. If you sold it for $250, like if they sold it for $199 or $250 and then required like the $7-8 whatever the membership with the Fitbit Premium to get access to all of the diagnostic and all the features, I would be more okay with that. But at $350, that stuff should be included. I don't like that. And yes, and as Patty says here, get your questions in. I'm probably going to wrap this up here soon. It has been an hour. Honestly, before I started this, I'm still exhausted. I'm like dead tired. It has been a miserable, terrible week. But I thought maybe I might only make it to 30 or 40 minutes tonight. But yeah, I love sitting here. I love hanging out with you guys, answering questions, talking about this stuff, and trying to. I like to do all this, so it just kind of flies by. And like I've said, I can talk for forever. I could probably do this for 3 hours. But yeah, so am I getting the S23 FE? 90% chance of no. I did reach out to Samsung and they said we have limited review units. Probably not going to be able to send you one. I'm not buying one. I don't like the price tag on it. I don't like the chip that's in it. I don't like their approach to this phone. Is it a good phone? Maybe. I'm going to have to watch some videos on it. I'm going to be in the same boat as y'all. But my kind of thought process is if you're going to get an S23 FE, just get the Pixel 8. I think the Pixel 8 is probably a better phone. But anyway, I don't want to cast judgment on this phone because I really don't know a lot about it other than some of the abstract specs and just some stuff. But I will tell you, I saw Parker Burton, buddy of mine, posted on Twitter earlier, and he had a picture. He had it in his hand. And he had the purple one, and for those of you who know my affinity for purple, that is a beautiful looking phone. So I will give them credit on that color at least. But anyway, I need to look into it more. I've not formulated an opinion other than I'm not buying it. Like it, I don't think that it adds a lot of value. It just seems kind of odd to me that they went ahead and they made it, and they've been so wishy-washy. The S21 FE I thought was a good phone. I thought it was overpriced, but once they dropped the price a month later, I thought it was a good deal. And I bought that when I covered it. I thought it was very fair. The S20 FE was a fantastic phone. They skipped the S22 FE, and then they came out with this one, but they drop it kind of an obscure time of the year. Like, if you remember correctly, the S21 FE came out right before the S22 a year ago, like 3 weeks before it, and it just didn't make any sense, and it was overpriced. And now they've dropped this one in October, so I don't know. They have kind of a storied history. I mean, even when the S20 FE came out, I think MKBHD called that his phone of the year. So I don't know. I just saw a question about most disappointing phone of the year from Brian Lau. Oh, here we go. Sorry, one thing real quick. Tech Bites 2021. Got to start dinner. Have a great rest of the evening. Hope all is well. Thank you. Enjoy your dinner. Enjoy your time with your family. And thanks for stopping by. Yeah, so most disappointing phone of the year. I got to say that the Pixel 7a. Like, I really did not encourage people to buy that phone because it was so similar to the Pixel 7, but with so many downgraded features, but they raised the price, and the raised price was basically the same price you could get a Pixel 7 at. It just made no sense to me. I really did not see the point of the Pixel 7a. It's supposed to be the value budget phone. It should have been $399. I mean, last year we accepted the $449 for the Pixel 6a, but it was immediately on sale for like $399. You got free Pixel Buds A series with it. This phone, I'm not impressed with the Pixel 7a at all, especially for the price. So that's my most disappointing phone of the year. Anyway, Patty Anderson, yes, smash the thumbs up, the like button. Great way to support the channel, subscribe, all that stuff. I'd imagine most of you are probably subscribers if you've been here watching me ramble on for this long. But yes, it always does good if you hit the like button. Supposedly it gets better visibility on YouTube so other people can watch it, but I don't have a whole lot of heartburn about that. Most of the people that like to watch the live streams are people who really just care about what I have to say, enjoy the videos. Y'all are like fantastic, wonderful supporters. Y'all are amazing people. So this is what I do this for. When I do the live stream, it's not like, oh, hey, I need to get 10,000 views on this. Like, if 50 people show up, 300 people show up, if 2 people take the time out of their day to come hang out here, I mean, that means the world. So I appreciate all of you who have taken the time out of your day to come hang out here, ask questions, watch. The super chats, of course, those are amazing and completely not required. But yes, thank you all for being here. It does mean a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, I think. I'll answer this real quick. So Time Machine Dreams. Is it me or the Pixel Fold aging terribly? I think the reason that it's aging terribly is because it's built with a year-old hardware. And they skimped on the camera. It irks me that the camera in here is the Pixel 7a primary camera that's cropped to a smaller sensor, like a smaller sensor size. So it really irked me that they did that. The battery life is not great. The dimensions on the interior screen are kind of awkward compared to the other ones, but hey, that's the approach that they went with it. Whatever. Yeah, the camera should be better. The battery life should be better. It should have the Tensor G3. And it's very frustrating to me that $1,800 phone, 3 years of operating system updates, 5 years of security patches, and then you release a phone 2 months later that you support for 7 years. Why would they should have put the Tensor G3 in here, and they should have supported this phone for longer. I don't think the folding screen is going to last 7 years. But I think that they need to push it out to at least 5 and 5. Like 5 years operating system updates, 5 years security patches. I feel pretty comfortable with that. Like, I've been a critic about 7 years just because battery life technology is not there. We could be using 6G by then instead of 5G. I mean, they could shut off 4G LTE by then. There's features in a phone that may not even work properly 7 years from now. Like, you can't forecast that. Much less with all the advancements in AI, which I know that Google is in the best position to do this because they have all their offsite, like, tensor centers that they can farm data back and forth to kind of extend the life and the practicality of the phone and new features and stuff. But yeah, it was an odd choice. So I think the Pixel Fold 2 will be a much, much better phone. But then it frustrates me because, like, they need to drop the price. The Pixel Fold 3 or 2 needs to be $14.99 maximum. It needs to have the Tensor G3. They need to unlock some more of the power. So here's something a lot of people don't know. The Tensor G3 is clocked at 3 gigahertz. It's like 3.01 gigahertz. But it could have been more powerful. But the problem they ran into was heat and battery life and things like that. If they can put like a heat pipe chamber in there and maybe some more graphene, some more heat sink stuff, find a way to manage some of that heat, give us better battery life, I think that they could turn it up a notch. Because if you take a look at the Snapdragon 8 Generation 2, it's not actually clocked at 3.36 gigahertz. That's the Snapdragon for Samsung. So it's actually overclocked, I think like 7% or something crazy like that. But anyway, they could turn it up a notch with the Tensor G3 and the Pixel Fold 2. I think that would make up for some of it. But ideally, it would be better to have the Tensor G4, right? But we're not going to see that. They're going to put the Tensor G3 in it, which I've been very happy with it. If the Pixel Fold now had the Tensor G3, I would be much, much more happy with it. Okay, so I think we're going to wrap this one up. Thank you, Patty, so much. I really appreciate you doing the moderation. Really means a lot. If you ever need to take a night off, please feel free to do so. Like, you don't have to be here every night to do that. Maybe we can have some auditions for some more moderators, but you're doing a fantastic job. I might do a giveaway soon. I have a couple things that I wouldn't mind getting rid of. One of them being this phone right here. If anybody has an interest in the Bold N3, I'm like not just saying like, here, let me just give it to somebody in the chat, but I may do a giveaway with this phone, and then I find myself in another position because, so I have the Pixel 8 and the 8 Pro, but I also have the Pixel 6, and I have the Pixel 6 Pro, and I have the Pixel 7 Pro. I don't know what I'm going to do with them, but maybe I might do a giveaway with one of those anyone thinks that like a Pixel 6 would be a decent phone at this point. But I bought it, and it's just sitting here not being used. So I may do some giveaway stuff soon. Keep an eye on that, maybe over the next couple of weeks. But I think that would be a nice way to kind of give back to some of the community. Maybe just like maybe a giveaway during one of the live streams. That way, like the dedicated 100, 200 folks that normally show up have a good chance at being able to get something, as opposed to just me putting out a blanket contest or whatever. But I want to do something like that soon. And okay, I'll answer this question real quick. Oh, two questions actually here. Wheelie asked about the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3. From what I've seen so far, it looks really impressive. So it looks like they're doubling down on AI with like a dedicated AI core, which they already had like the hexa-core stuff that Samsung does, but looks like more emphasis on AI and just some slight tweaking to the already amazing Snapdragon 8 Generation 2. So I'm really excited about the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3, and I talked about this in my video earlier today with the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V. I wish Sony would like take 25 of their dudes or dudettes and capitalize on some of this AI processing and make a really good point and shoot kind of Google Pixel-like experience whenever you just put it in auto mode. I think that would be good. So I'm really looking forward to the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3. The 2 was so good this year. I'm really looking forward to the 3 this next year. And this last question, can you comment on what it was like the first time a company sent you something to review? I imagine that would be exciting. So the first phone company to ever send me something was Blue. So before I started making videos, I was writing articles with the community review team on Crackberry and Android Central and Windows Central and iMore. Like they're still there. You can find them in the forums on all those websites under the community review section and under Adam Matlock. And I wrote probably like 170 of these my own personal reviews on things over like 2 years before I started making videos. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna start making videos. And they weren't supporting me anyway. So I was like, you know what? Screw you guys. So Blue sent me the very first phone, and I reached out to them and I found their PR email, and I thought, you know what? Let me reach out to these guys. Maybe they'll work with me. And as much as whether you like Blue phones or not, there's some really good people. Like I know these people personally. I know their PR person personally. She's an amazing woman, and they do some good stuff. And they make decent phones at a good price. I know that the software support kind of sucks, but what you get for the price and everything, I think adds people like that. So that's why I still cover them. I still cover Blue, and then Blue Bold is like they're more like flagship kind of level, higher tier phones. But yeah, I was really excited because I was like, I'm just writing these little articles, and they were kind enough to send me a phone. So even to this day, even though I've got like 130,000 subscribers now, even though they don't get like tons and tons of views, because they were so good to me and they were willing to work with me, I still support them as people and as a brand. And the same thing with Nomad. The guys over at Nomad, they're such wonderful people. And I've known them for years now. And even back then, they were like, yeah, we'll send you a case. I'm like, wow, you'll send me a $50 leather case for my phone just to make a review about? So I was so happy about that. And I believe in their products. Like I'm still using my Nomad wallet like 6 years later. So the first two companies that ever really like worked with me and like really appreciated what I did and supported me were Blue and Nomad. And to this day, I still very happy. They're like, hey, will you just take a picture of this and put it on Twitter? Like, you know what? Absolutely. Send it over. I'll do that. So yeah, if you're ever curious about some of that stuff, the folks over at Blue and Nomad are some really fine stand-up people. Like they're good people. I'll answer this real quick before I get out. Hawker Mustang, is the regular S23 much better than the S22? So slightly in the camera department, but the big difference you're going to notice is battery life. Battery life is significantly better. I was getting like 3.5 to 3 hours and 45 minutes on the S22. The S23, I got like 6 hours. So if you need all day better battery, and you know, there's a couple little improvements here and there, I think the S23 is a better phone. Like if you were looking at one at this point, I would highly recommend do not buy the S22. I think the S23 is better. Let me see. Wheelie, do I have any 4 to 5 year old flagship phones to test? I don't. I really kind of get rid of phones after about a year or two. So what happens is just to make this financially viable, because I'm spending a fortune buying a lot of these phones and products, I buy them, and then when the new ones come out the next year, I'll trade in the previous year. So I get phones, and that's why I cover them like a month later, 3 month later, 6 month later video. I like to provide kind of like updated support for these phones throughout the year. And then when the new one comes out, I'll trade it in, because that's just the only way I can keep getting these new phones every year in a lot of cases. So yeah, that's about it. So I gotta stop. I'll be here answering questions all night. Lewis, hello Adam, hello Lewis. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off for tonight. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you being here. Thanks a lot for showing up. Thanks for the support. Thanks for everything. And we'll try and do this normal time on Wednesday next week. My goal is to do this Wednesday at 7 o'clock. That's like the normal time I want to do it. I had to punt it just because of some family reasons going on. But yeah, gonna call it a night. I'm gonna go lay down, take a nap, probably play some Valorant, record my video for tonight, which won't be an hour long, and I will get back to y'all guys next week, and of course there'll be a video for tomorrow. So again, thank you for taking the time out of your day. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Thank you again, Patty, for all that you do, and I'll see you guys next time.